Okay, so we're back. I'm sorry about that. For some reason, it wasn't letting me sign into my YouTube account through OBS, so I couldn't see the chat. I couldn't see who all had entered the stream. That's okay. We're just going to restart. So Arkansas signed over 37 new players in the transfer portal. They completely flipped their roster on the defensive side. They kept who they wanted to keep, and they processed who they wanted to process. A lot of people were upset about Ian Jaffrard going to Texas, but after Ryan Silverfield seen Ian Jaffrard get dragged 9 yards for a critical first down, there's no question he was shown the door. They probably were wanting to keep him, but not for the money that he was wanting. And I think that it's going to work out well for both parties. I think Arkansas is going to benefit, and so will Jaffrard. But what we're going to do today, now that I can see the chat, we're just going to go over all the players. And if you're in the video, let me know through the chat who you want me to go over. I'm really excited about a couple of players, and I was actually shown a spreadsheet of some of the newer additions and where they grade out. So I figured that we would kind of go over that a little bit. But I am just tickled to death that this transfer portal is over with. So some of the more recent signees was LaMarcus Hicks, Xadavien Sims, Carter Stoutmire. Let me share my screen. I won't make that mistake again. Carter Stoutmire, Ben Bogle, Ian Williams, Braden Lee, Chris Marshall, Terrence Robertson. That's a big one. A lot of SEC schools were after that young man, and he chose to be a Razorback, turned down quite a bit of money. I think that, Trey Biddy said that he was going to come in and rotate this year, be a starter next year, and be in the NFL the following year. So all of these are big-time gets. So Jasper Parker, On3 has him rated as a 4-star. John House, I believe, actually went to Vanderbilt and then transferred to Middle Tennessee. Hunter Osborne, big defensive lineman, one of the first defensive linemen that came through the pipe for Ryan Silverfield in this class. Ty Lockwood, former Alabama commit. Lakai Rowland. Okay, so Lakai Rowland is a player that Arkansas beat out Ohio State and a bunch of other more traditionally established programs for this young man. So he was a huge get. They had to have spent some money to get him, and he has quite a bit of production coming as well. Sorry about that. Matt Adcock, tight end. Jamari Hawkins, Jaheim Johnson. Really surprised Jaheim Johnson did not sign with Summerall in Florida just because he's from Tulane. Got to stay hydrated. Adam Hawks, Josiah Clemon, Sutton Smith, Malachi Breland, A.J. Hill, Jamonta Waller. Jamonta Waller is another player that I'm really intrigued by. So we're just going to keep going down the list here. Jaquavion Smith, a linebacker, has a ton of production. Yes, it was at the FCS level, but at the same time, you need guys that can come in and compete. So he's got the size. He's a little bit shrimpier is the word I'm looking for. A little bit, we would like to see him put on about 10 to 15 pounds to get into that 220, 230 range. That way he can really plug those run lane holes. But run defense, well, yes, it was a problem for Arkansas this past year, but honestly, where they struggled at was pass defense and coverage. They had linebackers dropping into coverage that could not cover that well. When the year previous, they did cover somewhat well. Arkansas's defense the year before this was actually, around the middle of the pack. Tyler Scott. Then we've got Braden McAllister, Steven Souls Jr., Steven Sackham Souls. Cost a lot of money to land that young man because his pass rush grade is astronomical. Sorry, I'm hoping I'm not getting sick here. Christian Harrison, another cornerback safety, has a ton of snaps played and production. If I'm not mistaken, Christian Harrison was the first player that they signed. Cobes42 says, good coverage throughout this portal window. Keep it up. Thanks, Cobes. I'm glad it's over with because, you know, a lot of times I see people just cover the same thing over and over and over. He says, other channels just name the names, but walking through 247 or Hog Sports is helpful. Other channels and commentators are awfully pessimistic. Yeah, you know, with the way Arkansas has performed, a lot of creators have gotten burned. You know, a lot of times when somebody goes out, and the internet is just a harsh, brutal place. So if you put yourself out there as being hopeful and optimistic, a lot of times you just get roasted in the comments when the team doesn't perform well. I'm not so much worried about that, just because the information that and the way my mind works is if you've got good coaching and you've got good players, then you should perform. So if you don't have good coaching, we're going to call that out on this channel. And if the players aren't performing, we're also going to say the same thing. But right now we're in what's called a honeymoon phase with a bunch of these players and this coaching staff. So while there is a lot of sunshine pumping, and I'm probably just as guilty as that as everybody else, I try to be more optimistic just because Arkansas really needs more optimism in their media. A lot of people are just hungry for some good news, and not all the news is going to be good, but what we can do is take a positive mindset to the information that we're giving out. So thank you, Cobes. That really means a lot. So I think we were at Christian Harrison, so we're going to go down. Jeremy Evans is a linebacker from Baylor. I believe Jeremy Evans had a little bit of drama. I think he might have held out at Baylor. I think they were going to redshirt him, and then they asked him to play, and then something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Bryant Williams, okay, so he's a big-time offensive tackle from Louisiana Lafayette. I think he was a top 10 tackle in this transfer portal. Got him graded out as a 93. Carlin Jones, another defensive lineman. Big-time talent, not a lot of production. Phoenix Jackson, another linebacker from Baylor. I don't know too much about him. Kamori House, a lot of people are talking about Kamori House. So the way it was described to me by somebody that breaks down the numbers, Kamori House struggled sometimes in his coverage. He graded out similar to Sori, the way Sori performed last year, is the way that it was explained to me. So just give me 1 second here. Yeah, I apologize about that. I think I'm starting to get a little bit sick, maybe. It's like 30 degrees outside at my house. So going down, Jelani Watkins, another receiver. He's got Olympic speed. I mean, he can absolutely fly. Not a lot of production, but another serious talent. So the way that my mind works with a lot of these players is 10 years ago, if we had signed these players through traditional recruiting, and I've said this before, everybody would really be high on this team. But because of the transfer portal, we've come to value production over potential, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, when you have competent coaching to get that potential out of these players, you should have nothing to worry about. Donovan Fapel, so that's a guy, got a wonderful attitude. I watched an interview with him. Really smart kid. I'm really glad he's on the team because we need positive players on the team. And then it's got Braden Fuller as quarterback from Angelo State and Shelton Lewis. So we had some players transfer out. Frank Mulipola played a few snaps, didn't really, I think the SEC was a little bit too much for him. I think he was the last player signed out of the portal last year. Bobby from Arkadelphia says, killing it, bud. Thanks, Bobby. I'm trying to get used to the streaming software. I went live last night, but I didn't realize that I was like breathing into my mic, and a lot of times I was like talking, and I had the big camera up when I was meaning to like go over players, and so I unlisted it last night after I watched it. I'm like, I can't be having videos like that out there. So I'm really planning on this one to be better. I think my wife took the kids to a Goodwill trip. So it's just me and y'all. My puppy's asleep in another room, so hopefully she doesn't wake up. Normally, she starts barking if she hears me in another room. So we're going to go over some players that we lost. Frank Mulipola, Jacaden Ferguson. A lot of people didn't even know Ferguson was on the team, but he did land at another SEC school, Kentucky. And I think Kentucky's class is a little bit overrated. Jaheim Singletary, former 5-star recruit. A lot of people didn't even know that Arkansas had 5-star players on the roster, but Jaheim Singletary was one of those 5-star players. He landed at Iowa State. I think he only had one interception his whole time here. Bubba Craig, Keyshawn Blackstock. They've got him rated as a 4-star, but that's his high school rank. I don't think they've got him graded as a transfer. He was an offensive lineman that switched to defensive tackle just because Arkansas did the dumb thing and didn't do like they did this year and sign a bunch of defensive tackles. Nigel Pringle went to ASU. Kevin Otis actually went to Kansas. A lot of people had him going to Ole Miss. A lot of people are just so quick to put the Ole Miss crystal ball on players. A lot of this stuff is so political. It makes it really hard to do what we do. Try to just weed through all the bull crap, Scott Starzik, that was a lot of drama. Said he was coming back, and then come to find out he was secretly in the transfer portal behind the coaching staff's back. Akari Johnson, I don't know a lot about him. Cross Johnson, he's going to Coastal Carolina. Cam Shanks ended up at Wake Forest. Man, where we sold Cam Shanks this last year, he was an All-American punt returner. Did you see him return any punts over 10 yards? It was really disappointing. And every time he went back to return a punt, the announcer always said, All-American Cam Shanks. And then, he gets tackled 5 to 10 yards after he fields it. I don't know if he muffed a punt. One of y'all know if he muffed a punt? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to take some more caffeine here. These things taste so bad, but they make my ears ring and I like it. Let me know how my audio's doing. Last night you could hear me breathing into the mic and it was like some ASMR video. So we were at Cam Shanks. So Jaden Allen, a cornerback, landed at North Texas. Zach Taylor, I have no idea who that is, landed at Appalachian State. Rodney Hill went to Coastal Carolina. Danny Saili is still in the portal. So a lot of these defensive linemen can't find a home. Amarian Harris went to Oklahoma. Amarian Harris really struggled at times. Ken Talley landed at UCF, so he went back to Florida. I think Ken Talley came from Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken. Blake Cherry landed at Wisconsin, like I called it. A lot of players on the offensive line were loyal to Eric Mateos. Thank y'all for letting me know. Jace Petty still hasn't found a home. Jabray Shaw still hasn't found a home. Prudhomme landed at Mississippi State. Andy Jean still hasn't found a home. Grayson Wilson, I'm really happy, found a home. He's at Boston College playing for Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was actually Ryan Mallett's NFL coach when he was at the Houston Texans. Let me adjust my mic here. There we go. All right. Kavion Henderson still hasn't found a home. Anton Pierce still hasn't found a home. Justice Boone still hasn't found a home. Sorry about that. So Justice Boone landed at Wisconsin. J.J. Shelton landed at Baylor. Justin Logan hasn't found a home. Trevor Jackson's at Coastal Carolina. Zach Haber at Illinois, playing for Burt Bielema. Miguel Mitchell still hasn't found a home. Like I said, a lot of these defensive players have not found another school. So Kobe asked, how do you think we ended up comparing to Auburn? So this is going to be a little political. There's a lot of mixed emotions about Auburn's portal class from Auburn. We'll go through these numbers, and then we'll go to Auburn's page. I think Arkansas ended up better than Auburn. I think Auburn lost the majority of their talent on their team. And Auburn fans, Cole Kublik went on a rant, and I believe Josh Pate played the rant on his live show. But Cole Kublik was a former Auburn player. So he goes on a radio station in Birmingham, and he's going on a rant about how Auburn fans are upset that they lost Cam Coleman and Deuce Knight and all of their other high-level talent that Hugh Freeze brought in. Hugh Freeze is a piece of crap, but he's a heck of a recruiter. Not a great human being or coach, but he was able to amass and stockpile a ton of talent on Auburn's roster. But at the same time, when Alex Golesh was hired, Auburn really wanted to retain that roster. That was the number one things that Alex Golesh got up on the podium and said, hey, our number one priority is roster retention. And then you just see the news break day after day after day, another recruit leaves. And make no mistake, they offered Cam Coleman $2 million to stay at Auburn. Can you believe that, paying $2 million for a receiver? But they offered him a blank check to keep Deuce Knight and keep Cam Coleman. Alex Golesh lost those players. And not only did they lose them, but on the way out, they completely trashed Auburn as a program. You know, there's a lot of Kool-Aid going around the Auburn program, but I think Arkansas did better in the portal. They've still got catching up to do in the talent department, but they signed a bunch of former 4- and 5-star players this cycle, Arkansas did, and Auburn brought in a lot of players from USF, just like Silverfield did with Memphis. I think they're really close together. I think Arkansas has the edge because Arkansas was able to retain a bunch of the team's talent that they wanted to retain. To make a long story short, sorry if that took too long. So where were we on the list? So AJ Green, I don't even know what that W is. Let's see what that team is, chat. Western Michigan. AJ Green went to Western Michigan. Ian Jaffard obviously ended up at Texas. So Tavion Wallace was a player I would have liked to have seen them keep, but he's got connections to Kentucky. His brother played at Kentucky before he went pro. So Tavion Wallace is one of those players that I feel like this year he would have really hit, you know. Shaq McCroy followed Bobby Petrino to North Carolina, and Keyshawn Davila ended up at North Texas. So a lot of our defensive players did not land at Power 4 teams, and most of them are still in the portal. Anton Pierce is still in the portal. Kavion Henderson is still in the portal. Shaw is still in the portal. Let's go. Danny Saili is in the portal. Sorry, I'm really congested today, and when you try to say his name, it's really difficult. All right, so I wanted to go through some of the players that I'm excited about. I found a spreadsheet from the Arkansas Quant on Twitter. So this is, it kind of breaks down the players' grades. So this isn't updated, but it's got Carlin Jones and Hunter Osborne on there. And let's go over here like this. And it just breaks down their PFF grades, their pass rush, run defense. So not a whole lot of production for those two players. I just found it was interesting. But we're going to go on Twitter. Let's see. So they got the graphics up for Xadavien Sims. So Trey Biddy, Darian Mensah entered the portal. Probably going to go to Miami. But I had a tweet pulled up, but I can't find it, so we're not going to really focus on that. So we're going to go into the players. Let me find where I was at. So I wanted to go, so Kamori House. This is a guy. Arkansas fans should be excited about him. There's been some rumors that he was set to play safety, but I would not want that if I was Arkansas. His coverage grades are not the greatest. Let me see if I can find his coverage grades real quick. Let me see here. Let's see. I had him pulled up. Well, I don't have his coverage grades, but I've got the ones for the new cornerbacks that we've got. So let me try to share my screen here. I'm going to airdrop that to me. There we go. It takes a minute to load. And I got all this. This is all free. It's from the Arkansas Quant. It just takes a minute because it's a spreadsheet. Probably should have already had that loaded up. But while we're waiting, if y'all in the chat want to let me know what y'all think of the portal class. All right, it finally loaded. So Jaheim Johnson from Tulane, like I said, he's played 409 snaps, targeted 59 times. His PFF defense, 76.6. That's really good. 74.8 on the coverage. Really, really good. Forced 9 incompletions. Let's see. His forced incompletion percentage was 15.3. 8 missed tackles. So that's a little bit high. So 64% receptions allowed. Yak, yards after catch, 4.9. So that's really, really good. And so this is the other one, Lakai Rowland, that I'm really excited about from Maryland. Yeah, I think I'm getting sick. So, targeted 24 times, defense 73.5, 77 in the coverage, both really, really good. So these two grade out a lot. The cornerback from Tulane has better stats, but he only forced 1 incompletion. He only missed 2 missed tackles out of almost 200 snaps. So that's really, really good. Let's see. Shelton Lewis from Clemson only played 31 snaps. And then Braden Lee from Maryland, 142 snaps, 20 targets. So you can see who the 2 starters are going to be. Nikki Ryan Lee says, everything is unknown. I want to say it. It seems like a good class. I'll change my attitude in time, I'm sure, but I want to see it to believe it at this point. No, yeah, that's totally understandable. Like I said, in a perfect world, all of this stuff on paper will play out like it's always played out on paper. But at the same time, you've got to have good coaching. I think with Ron Roberts, a lot of people are going to be a little bit surprised at the improvement made on defense. Ron Roberts is a really well-respected defensive coordinator. And, he is the type, as long as he's got his players in, the defense should perform, and I believe he's got his players in. I wanted to look at Jamonta Waller. That's a good one. Just give me 1 second here. My oven was dinging. But yeah, Jamonta Waller is another one of Ron Roberts' players that has a ton of potential. And that's what I've noticed so far with this particular class. So let's go up here. So Christian Harrison, did they have his on here? No, not yet. All of this stuff is free, by the way, if y'all want to take a look at it. Tyree says, we will not miss them. Go Hogs. Yeah. And let me pull up that page. It's just funny because most of the defensive players still haven't found a college, and the transfer portal ended at midnight earlier last night. So they're still kind of left stuck holding the bag. And then a lot of the defensive players ended up at a group of 5 school. So it's just how Travis Williams built that defensive roster last year. I mean, Travis Williams really owes the state of Arkansas money. And that's the type of stuff that burns boosters, you know, because booster fatigue is a real thing. A lot of people paying money are starting to get tired of how there's an arms race in college football. It's not sustainable. The quarterback from Cincinnati that's going to go play at Texas Tech, he's getting paid $6 million, something crazy like that. So, you know, that's more than half the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. It's just unsustainable. Nikki Ryan says, hope you don't start feeling too bad. Yeah, me too. My son was feeling sick last night. He actually threw up all over his bed. He was in there watching a movie, and, you know, you ever just have a kid just randomly just throw up? Nikki Ryan says, how the hell did Travis Williams get the Texas A&M job? Well, he got it because he went back to being a linebackers coach. So I feel like Travis Williams is going to go do well at Texas A&M just because what's the head coach's name at Texas A&M? But he calls the defense. So Travis Williams, he's just going to be coaching linebackers. But Travis Williams can recruit, but he just could not, you know, build a quality defense. I don't know. And like I said, I did a video on Travis Williams a few weeks ago. It was one of the first videos I ever made. And Travis Williams was actually on that Atlanta Falcons team that Bobby Petrino took over in 2007. So Travis Williams and Bobby Petrino did not mix at all. So there was a lot of rumors, and none of it could really be confirmed, but there were rumors that there was a lot of drama going on in that locker room. And I think a lot of people believe that that's why Bobby Petrino moved up to the press box and got off the field. Just because, you know, there was a lot of back and forth going on. Bobby Petrino does not like defenders hitting his offensive players. You know, that's why he kept Willie Robinson so long. And for as much crap as Willie Robinson got for being the Arkansas defensive coordinator, his defenses, looking back at him, are not that bad now. You know, at least they played hard and they came up with turnovers. Let's see. All right. So we're going to go over Auburn's class. So Arkansas, 37 commits, 3 4-stars, and 33 stars. Auburn only had 28. So, you know, they're very similar. One of the things that I'm not going to paid too much attention to Auburn, but I do feel like Ryan Silverfield did a better job because you also got to remember you're coming off a 2-10 season, you know? Whenever you have a situation like that and you're coming off a 2-10 season, there's just a negative perception around the program. So y'all in the chat, let me know what y'all want to look at. Let's look. Y'all want to look at Texas Tech, or let's do Kentucky first. I'm not seeing why this class is so high. So they got a 4-star guard offensive lineman, another 4-star offensive lineman, 4-star offensive tackle. So they're really rebuilding the offensive line. Tavion Wallace. Oh, Kenny Minchie. So they got a backup quarterback from Notre Dame. How is Kenny Minchie a 4-star when he did not play? You know, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. C.J. Baxter, a running back that has been in college football, I think, for like 4 years. I think this is his last year. He was a former 5-star recruit. Let's look at the SEC rankings, and this is where I don't like 247. They've got LSU on top, Ole Miss at 2, Texas at 3, Kentucky at 4, A&M at 5, Auburn at 6, Oklahoma at 7, South Carolina at 8, Tennessee at 9, Missouri at 10, Florida at 11, and Arkansas at 12. So Arkansas had a top 10 team class literally 5 days ago. Yeah, he's definitely Burt. Yep. So Cobe says, typical BS rankings, Hogs could beat half those teams ahead of us as it stands today. Yeah, rankings are, a lot of it's political, and we've kind of broken into that a little bit. On3, I think, has a more accurate ranking of where Arkansas should be at. Let me update it. I like how they're ranking Indiana's class at 1 now that Indiana's winning. When Indiana, I feel like, had a similar portal haul the last few years, but they were dead last in the rankings in their talent composite. So they've got Arkansas at 12, which is where I feel like they should be at. Arkansas really had a high influx of talent. So they've got, let me go down here. Steven Souls was listed as a 4-star. That's who I'm looking for. Yep, there he is. I don't know what the elite tag means. I think that's just a verification. And then they've got the new running back. And the new running back, not a lot of people are talking about this young man. Jasper Parker. I want to look at Jasper Parker's 247 page real quick. So he's 6 foot, 205 pounds. Let's look at his recruiting profile. So he was a 4-star coming out of high school, top 20 running back, top 300 player nationally. So I don't know how they dropped him to a 3-star, because he, he played, I think, in a bunch of games, maybe. Yeah, he played in 5 games, almost 100 yards. If you're seeing the field as a freshman on Michigan, that's really, really tough to do. All right. So let's see. Let me get back to 247. Let's see what Trey Biddy has to say. So this is a player, Xadavien Sims. Another guy, got him from Oregon. I don't think I pulled up his page. Scouting report on him was crazy. We're not going to read that all. But Arkansas is really banking on their coaching ability. Nikki says Sims is the one I'm most excited for. Yeah, absolutely. Real quick before I turn the big camera on, I did want to look at one last thing. The players that Arkansas that hopped into the portal. Let me see. Sorry if I'm scrolling too fast. I know that's hard to watch. So, let's go down here. So, Bubba Craig, Keyshawn Blackstock still haven't found a home. Scott Starsick went to LSU. Kevin Otis went to Kansas. Let's see. So, Jaden Allen, North Texas. Danny Saili still hasn't found a home. Ken Talley went to UCF. Yep, I almost said USF. Shaw still hasn't found a home. Kavion still hasn't found a home. Anton Pierce still hasn't found a home. All right, so I'm going to give my thoughts. Hold on 1 second. Hello. All right, love you. Oh. Sorry about that. I'm not used to doing the live streams. So yeah. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the class. So Arkansas upgraded in the defense. There's a lot of people that are concerned with the lack of production, but cornerback, safety, secondary, and line. Well, you've got the secondary and the linebackers. You've got production coming in. Not only that, but you also retain Bradley Shaw to kind of anchor the middle of that defense. The defensive line, Jamonta Waller, Xadavien Sims, Carlon Jones, Hunter Osborne, all of those players have a ton of potential, not a lot of production. You do have Quincy Rhodes coming back on the edge, and you've got Charlie Collins. So Charlie Collins was almost a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So this will be his third year. You would like to see a massive jump. Usually on the defensive line, that third year when they come in, that's when you get the most production out of them. I think the defensive line is a big mystery. I feel like the defensive line is going to be better, but, you know, when you had Ian Jaffrard and when you had Cam Ball playing 60, 70, 80 snaps a game, that wasn't good for them or the team. I feel like they've got a lot of depth that they can rotate in and out on the defensive line now. So the question is who's going to be the starters? I feel like Xadavien Sims and Hunter Osborne are possibly going to be the two starting defensive linemen. Quincy Rhodes obviously is going to start on one side, and then I feel like Jamonta Waller is probably going to start on the other side, and Charlie Collins will probably be behind Jamonta Waller. Linebacker, Bradley Shaw is going to start. Kamori House and Steven Souls are probably going to start. You've got Jaheim Johnson on one end starting at cornerback, and you've got Lakai Rowland on the other end starting at cornerback. Safety, I feel like it's going to be the Stoutmire kid, Carter Stoutmire from Colorado. I don't know if they got the kid from Tennessee that was on visit. I think they might have missed out on him. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. But, you've got a lot of players coming in the secondary that got a lot of snaps, Offensively, I would like to say that KJ is going to win the starting job. I can't confirm that because A.J. Hill has been in Tim Cramsey's offense, and he's a really, really talented player. I'm going to say that KJ starts, and A.J. is going to be behind KJ, and then the kid from Angelo State, the Braden kid. Running back, Braylon Russell and Jasper Parker are going to be starter 1A and starter 1B. Behind that, I think you've got Cam Settles. Well, I'm forgetting the Memphis kid. Who was the player that we got from Memphis? The running back. Let's go up here. Let's see. Sutton Smith. So David Johnson, the new running backs coach, he likes to run 4. So you're going to have Braylon Russell and Jasper Parker and Sutton Smith and Cam Settles. But I feel like Braylon Russell is going to get the start. But Braylon Russell is more of a power running back, and Sutton Smith is obviously shiftier. I think Jasper Parker could really get in there too. So, offensively, I feel like the running game is going to be better. Hopefully, Braylon Russell is able to really hit the weight room and kind of get into that final shape. He was a 4-star recruit, so I could see him playing on Sundays, and other people could too. So, let's see. Wide receiver, Jaylen Brown. I'm going to say Chris Marshall. Jaylen Brown and Chris Marshall. And then in the slot, let's see. Let me go back. Who is the wide receiver that we picked up? Not Fapel, although I do believe Fapel is going to be playing. Jamari Hawkins. So Jamari Hawkins in the slot. Jaden Platt's going to be starting at tight end. I'm not too familiar with the offensive line right now. I'll have to get back to you with the offensive line numbers. Let me see if I can find a 2 deep already. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think I'll make another video on the offensive line. So yeah, I think I'm going to give this video about 5 more minutes. I feel like this live stream went a lot better than the one I did last night. That's why I set that one to private, because the quality on it was just so bad. I think I'll answer some questions if y'all got some questions for me. I think that Arkansas is a better football team after today. I feel like they really improved a lot of areas of need. I feel like crap. I feel like I'm getting sick. So, let me know what y'all think, guys and gals. I think like 90% of my viewers are men, and the other 10% are not. Nikki Ryan asked, does Texas Tech have the #1 class? I think, let's look. Texas Tech has the #11 class, which is a little bit surprising. No questions? No more? Well, all right. I appreciate all y'all for joining me. I think I'm going to drop another video later today. I hope that I can get whatever's going on with my sinuses and stuff figured out. So I really appreciate it, guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.